be calling me. They'll be calling me royalty. Best to give me loyalty, 'cause I'm taking the world, you'll see. They'll be calling me. They'll be calling me royalty.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna try setting up, and apparently this is making that lag way too much, so, alright.
I'm staying at Nick's mom's house while I was in town, and I kind of stole her husband's razor and actually gave myself a proper buzz. Got in the shower, started digging through the drawers, and went, oh, hey. bounced back from immediately. I'm glad you're feeling good.
People everywhere are binge watching their money. Now streaming on Lake City Bank Digital. When checking Met Savings.
Together we make so much sense.
Also featuring Adventures of the Penny Pincher.
My journey has not been an easy one, but my budget is going to survive.
Watch new episodes of Your Money unfold every day on Lake City Bank Digital. Learn more at lakecitybank.com/digital. Member FDIC.
At IU Fort Wayne, our students are the heartbeat of our city's future. Through powerful partnerships with the area's leading health organizations and hospitals, we're answering the call for more skilled health professionals. From classrooms to clinical settings, our students are gaining hands-on experience, making real-world impacts, and shaping a healthier tomorrow. Because at IU Fort Wayne, a healthier future starts here. Learn more at go.iu.edu/ignite.
Looking for a rewarding career in healthcare? Lutheran Health Network is hiring. From nurses to therapists, techs, and more, we have opportunities waiting for you. Our employees enjoy a robust benefits package, including health insurance, flexible scheduling, and tuition reimbursement for eligible positions. Make a positive impact with your career with Lutheran Health Network and apply today.
Sorry. My mama takes precedent.
Always. Mamas always take precedent. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a shirt or a hoodie or something. I'll be right back. Well, I'm surprised that Julie didn't say something. I'm in a different shirt.
Yeah, oh, I saw they could hear us because I saw them saying like, I can hear you. You on the wrong scene?
Now remember, we are recording what settings we have to have so we don't have any whoopses again. Julie. What? I see you in a hoodie. What? Oh, you changed your shirt. What? You made a smart comment to me earlier. You're always in that shirt. No, I just always see you in that shirt. So it's like, it's one of my favorites. It's very comfortable. So they talked me into it.
What are you chewing on? They're not chewing on anything, you little bitch. No, don't even joke with that, 'cause my cat does that, and it drives me crazy.
Filthy and
Here comes trouble, putting on a show like a domino.
But yeah, I'm on the solar tonight, and it's just me at the camp, so I have no bedtime.
Send me on my way to you.
what's he gonna do? He's not here. But actually, exciting news for Nick Long Channel. Nick just made millions. Worked towards that for 4 months, I think. Have a new viewer. That's awesome. Look at us growing.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah. No, I don't wanna waste what's left.
Hey, at least we can see everybody.
More importantly, they can hear you.
Yeah.
Just put that fake camera that you did last time over your one you got. No, you can cuss. It's fine. This isn't TikTok.
No, yeah, that's one of her.
Spy Kids.
It's like, as long as we can hear anything now. Just like, yeah,
Right.
as long as we can hear. Just a small amount this time. Give me... There she is.
Oh, that's clear.
Oh, we don't talk. We
Can
don't
they
talk.
hear you?
Hey, everybody, we need a mic check.
1, 2, 3. Hey.
All right, everybody over in chat, can you hear us? Is he sound off again?
Oh.
Not again.
So, Bobicus, who I believe is the newest in the chat, this has been a thing. Bear with us.
Damn, Scott.
We just dealing with it.
Could you guys hear her before with the blurry camera? Could you hear her before? Or were you not able to hear her at all from the beginning?
Don't worry about it. We're usually here for about 2.5, sometimes 3 hours. So yeah, you go eat, enjoy your dinner, and we'll be here when you get back. But thank you so much for coming in.
Okay. Cash said that they could hear you with the camera, so
I just can't see all the angles. Chip, tap, digital wallet.
We can help with that. I love trucking. The open road, the biscuits, and the gravy. Can you help me bank when I'm away?
Roger that. We got you, good buddy.
I won my first tournament. So now what?
You can deposit
right?
check with
Exactly.
the First Source mobile app.
Better blurry Izzy than muted Izzy. I need to dye my hair again. I'm basically blonde now. This is the only bit of color I have left. This little bit of purple here.
Izzy is quiet.
But you could hear her?
No, I hear
her. Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. I heard me.
Yes, Church, it can hear you. Everybody can hear you now.
It's fine. It works.
I just hate that, we don't have this crisp, clear, beautiful stream always because of my fucking camera.
Yeah, I remember one point you put the OBS virtual camera over it and it looked immaculate.
Right, but then I got it to work just fine last week and now it just whatever.
I think what we need to do is we need to set up a time next week just to have it where it's just us and we're putz mucking around and
I mean, we need
all the stuff.
We need to log more hours and go live more days anyway in order to get towards the path towards affiliate. So why not?
Oh,
all of them are echoing except Izzy.
Okay, hold on.
Oh my god, my headphones aren't on. Oh my god, hang on.
Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. Everybody hear Izzy. All right, Julie, go.
La 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 la. Sorry.
All right, Patrick.
You don't believe that woman is not loud? Good Lord. She just exuberates loudness all the time. But that's our Julie. That's why we laugh at her.
Fuck you and the horse you rode in on.
All right, your turn.
You can have the horse. I'll take Prince Charming.
For the record, I wasn't saying Julie was loud. I was saying my iPad was loud, and therefore my headphones were loud. Everybody was hurting my tender little ears. I wasn't saying Julie was loud.
Can hear everybody. Okay, so whatever. The settings were not correct. Whatever, it's okay. Okay, we are clear. Welcome to take 2 of the Hold My Pen Promptcast for Saturday, May 17th on Sunday, May 18th. Woo!
Whoop, whoop. Thank you guys for all bearing with us, especially the ones that came by and were helping us out last night.
It never fails. An hour's worth of scuff, and apparently I just can't have my gorgeous face on playback and have a truly professional thing. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
We will
All
eventually
right.
fix.
Yes, we eventually will. Now, originally we weren't going to have Char last night, so I pulled up our script prompt pretty little presentation that I was originally going to do and put it in her place, but that's okay.
I'll just leave then. I'll go.
No.
They don't want me.
No. Just so we can keep ourselves on track. Okay. This is, as you see across the bottom of your screen, the Hold My Pen Promptcast, started by our fearless leader, Julie DeFisher, author of the Destined for More book and the Four Queens for Four Kings series, as well as Double Edged series with its first book, Crossroads, that just came out in March. And we are also joined by our lovely, supportive, emotional support brother, Power. See, I said it right.
Wow.
I said it right the first time. Author of the Chimera Wolf, Chimera Clan, Kingdom of Shadows, and currently working on a couple of others. Good golly, Miss Molly. Oh, yeah, and Decoding Shady Pines. That one. Making me root for a man named David, you should be ashamed of yourself. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. And of course, our video editor and our lovely co host, co designated reader, C.R. McCormick, who just recently released Luck of the Mobster. Bum, ba, ba, ba. I know you guys can't see it. It is all blurry. I am so sorry. Anyway, y'all can go to my TikTok and see the beautiful, I'm pulling it out of the box, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Shar has me in the grip with these mafia romances and literary beautifulness, and also Scoundrel, the pirate saga that I cannot wait to get my grubby little piratey hands on. And then, of course, there's me, designated reader, the somewhat tech guru who can't seem to get her camera on or her mic. It's either one or the other. Fuck my life. Any hoozle, Izzy Krause. All right. Now, last week, you all voted for surprise, surprise.
The
Dialogue prompt.
Who'd have guessed it?
Now, panel, can you hear the sounds?
Play one. No.
All right. How about this? Ba, 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 ba. Sign in.
Driver picks the music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
I'm not hearing anything. Is the chat hearing it? Because I'm not hearing anything.
Because I've got my phone over here watching it.
Gusher's like, I heard that.
Gotcha. Okie
Cake hole, what are you
dokie.
playing? What are you playing? What is cake hole? Oh, Izzy, your camera just got very clear.
Driver picks the music. Shotgun shuts his cake hole.
Driver picks the music. Shotgun.
Shuts his cake hole. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, Dean.
Yep.
Hello, Doc.
Sure.
What?
Cord.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Hello, darling. I went and snagged a bunch of supernatural sounds.
Yeah.
So Crowley saying hello, darling.
Oh, Mark Shepard, man. Oh, Mark Shepard.
Hmm. All right. So the Hold My Pen Promcast, basically, we get together every Saturday night, 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Adjust your times accordingly. And we read out the submissions that have been sent in to the Hold My Pen Promcast at gmail.com email address. Please, when you submit, try to use the prompt, but if you can't get to it, you can't get to it. If you've got something that you want to run past us, run it past us. Typically, the average or the goal to shoot for is about 3,000 because we're trying to get to 1,000,000 words submitted and read out on the Hold My Pen Promcast for the year 2025. We do send out in the newsletter every week where we are at, how many we submitted that week. And then at the end of the show, Julie rolls some dice and we put them in front of your faces and you all vote for it. That being said, this last week's, if I can find it, was to use this dialogue. Why are you acting like nothing happened? She demanded. We both know what we did. Fun, fun, fun. All right. So, our first prompter is our lovely emotional support brother. And I am this is more in Heart of Stone, apparently, rough draft of chapter 10 called Unanswered. Sorry, was watching chat. Amanda left Scott's messages unanswered. She had typed a response a few times, the typing dots dancing across his screen, but each time they disappeared, no message sent. He texted again. Amanda sighed and reached for her journal instead. Looks like it's just me and you tonight, she murmured, fingers brushing the journal's cover. Boys are way too complicated, and I can read a book so much better than I can figure out how I feel about him. Her fingertips drifted to the pendant around her neck, stroking it absent-mindedly.
You good?
The verbiage and where my brain is at. Anyway, her phone buzzed again. I bet it buzzed. Amanda, Scott, Amanda, I hope I'm not overstepping. I know I came off strong. God, please just let me know if you're okay. Send an emoji if that's all you want to do. Scott, please. She didn't open the messages. Hours passed, the screen left dark. Amanda's mind was no longer on her phone. She was being swept away by the pages of Amelia's journal. Her eyes shifted and the world around her shimmered, present flickering into the past. Amanda blinked and instantly knew she was no longer in her time. Amelia, hello, child. It has been some time since your last visit. Amanda, I never know when I'll be pulled back. Amelia, time travel is never a perfect task. I myself have tried to frog into your time. Amanda, oh, please don't. Amelia, why? Are you embarrassed by your feelings for a certain young man? Amanda, oh God, please tell me you didn't. Amelia, I don't know what I did or didn't see. It was all too fragmented. Amelia looked up at the night sky. A moment later, her stone prince swooped down, wings slicing the air as he landed. He bowed, taking her hand and kissing it gently. Ezra, Amelia, I see she's with you tonight. I pray it won't interfere with our mission. Amelia, no, She'll be no problem. She's of my bloodline. She must know her past to save the future. Ezra, very well, but we must go now. The guards are asleep. Anna's draft has taken effect. Without another word, he scooped Amelia into his arms, and they soared into the night sky. His broad wings carried them swiftly across the island. They landed silently on the southern cliffs. Ezra set her down and stole a brief kiss. Amelia, smiling. That was unexpected, but a pleasant surprise. Ezra turned to a vine covered wall, searching with his hands until he found a hidden seam. Bracing himself, he kicked. The door shattered inward, revealing a cavern of large, glowing eggs. Ezra, we must move them before Lord Roderick finds this place. I couldn't abandon them. These are the future of our clan. Amanda, whispering, what is this place? Amelia, you're seeing something no human usually sees. These are the hatcheries. Gargoyles are at their most vulnerable before they hatch, stone by day, defenseless at night. Amanda, why is Lord Roderick involved? Amelia, Ezra, we must show her what he's done. Ezra nodded, lifted Amelia again, and flew her across the channel to a smaller island. They landed on the beach. Ezra bowed his head, eyes closed tight. Amelia, Amanda, look. At the mouth of a sea cave lay a half hatched egg, stone and shattered life caught in time. Inside, pieces of cracked shells and unmoving gargoyle forms littered the ground. Amelia softly. They were so close to hatching. Cleo, the one by the entrance, she was emerging when the sun rose. Roderick and his men had never seen eggs like these. They mistook them for monsters, or knew exactly what they were and acted in hatred. They destroyed every one. Amanda, that's why you need to hide the others. Ezra, we must go back now. We've wasted too much time. Back at the rookery, they loaded the remaining eggs into carts filled with straw. Amelia whispered an enchantment. Amelia, if anyone stops the carts, they won't see the eggs. If they stab the straw, they'll miss. Ezra, thank you, my queen. Let's move. The carts rolled toward the port under the moonlight. Ezra and Amelia returned to the cave for the last two eggs, only to find a nightmare. The final eggs were shattered, and young gargoyles, barely formed, had been dragged out and slain. Sword wounds marred their tiny bodies. Amelia screamed, collapsing to her knees. Ezra roared, the sound shaking the cave walls. The pain in Amelia's heart became Amanda's, and the shock of it all hurled her back into her own time. Amanda slammed the journal shut, her hands trembling. Her heart pounded in her chest, the pain in Amelia's scream still ringing in her ears. She felt like she had screamed too, but no sound had left her lips, only a breathless ache. She pushed the journal to the side of the bed and lay back against the pillows, arms folded over her stomach, trying to ground herself in the present. The glow of her phone screen lit up the darkened room again. Scott, I'm here if you need anything. Amanda turned the phone face down without responding and rolled to her side. I just need sleep, she whispered to herself. Just one night without all this. But it didn't come easily. When she finally drifted off, the nightmare found her. In her dream, she stood again at the mouth of the sea cave. The air was heavy with salt and something worse, iron and blood. Stone fragments crunched under her bare feet as she took a step forward. The half hatched egg sat just inside, Cleo's small face frozen in shock and fear. Her tiny wings, still soft, were half unfurled, caught in mid motion. Screams echoed through the cavern. Amanda turned to run, but the scene changed, flashing from cave to firelit sky. Ezra's roar shook the earth as he cradled a broken egg in his arms, his wings limp with sorrow. Amelia's sobs mixed with Amanda's own cries as she stormed up to a smug Lord Roderick. Amanda, fueled with anger, stormed up to him, her eyes ablaze with fire. Oh, Amelia, what do I owe the pleasure? Roderick reached out his hand to brush his finger along her skin. Amelia shivered under his touch. Why are you acting like nothing happened? We both know what happened. We all know what you did. Child, I have done nothing. What dare I say am I being accused of now? Lord Roderick let a vindictive smile cross his lips. Then silence. Amanda jolted awake, gasping. Her sheets were soaked in sweat. She clutched her pendant as if it could keep her anchored. The phone glowed again. 3:41 a.m. She stared at it. Didn't move. Couldn't. She fell asleep again just before dawn, and the nightmare returned. She was standing beside the carts this time. The eggs, glowing faintly, pulsing with life, were being loaded. But each time she blinked, one disappeared. Poof. Gone. Shattered. A trail of blood in its place. She ran to them, tried to reach out, but her hands passed through them like mist. You were too late, a voice whispered. Amelia's voice. But when Amanda turned to look, it was her own face staring back at her. Amanda woke with a scream, this time out loud. The sun had barely begun to rise. The birds outside her window chirped like nothing had changed, but Amanda knew better. She rolled out of bed, grabbed the journal, and clutched it to her chest. This isn't just history, she whispered. This is a warning about men in power. You'll do anything to take that power. Amanda looked at her phone, 4 missed calls and 3 more texts. She took a breath, trying to shove the nightmare images back into the corners of her mind. Her hands still trembled as she unlocked the screen. The first message made her pause. Scott, Mom, the moment I met her, the very moment our eyes met, I knew she was going to change everything. Amanda blinked. Mom? Then came the follow up. Scott, crap. Oh, crap. Wrong person. Scott, well, wrong person, but yeah, now you know, and I blew it. God, I need to stop texting while I'm bartending and taking shots. Amanda, please, can we talk before you write me off? She rolled her eyes and sighed. Her heart tugged in too many directions. Scott, you're hot. You're sweet, but right now I just can't. She whispered aloud, voice raw from sleeplessness. Promise you, once my mind settles, I'll reply. If I can just get one damn night of rest. She set the phone down, face down on the nightstand, and crawled under the covers again. With a shaky breath, Amanda closed her eyes. Please, she whispered to no one and everyone. Just one night without the screams, without the blood, without the broken wings. But even in sleep, the past wouldn't let go.
This is why you don't drink while you're bartending.
And yes, this is definitely a rough draft. It's like I wrote it while we were doing our last thing, and that's why it's the Amanda Ezra. It's like I wanted to tweak how I wanted to put it, but I'm glad I sent it off when I did because yeah, shortly afterwards I had to have surgery. So
Hey, no, that's fine. That makes complete and utter sense. For a
God, I
second,
need
I was like, this is not his normal. So he'll go make it. I know he will.
that ending was rough. Oh no. Wrong person.
I figured, we've all had that time in our life where we've drunk texted somebody.
I have
Mm-hmm.
not. I have not.
That you remember.
No, see,
Lucky you.
I when I get drunk, I forget my phone exists because I'm more focused on the people in my immediate vicinity, to their detriment.
Makes sense. All right. Once again, Patrick making us get the hankies out.
We have an emoji for that now.
We do. I. Killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. All right. Next up is a fanfic from SP Stavros. Doesn't plan on ever officially publishing it, but here we go. It's apparently an Atomi game called Love and Deep Space.
Oh, that fucking game. It's too big for my damn phone.
Hold up. Bonus points if Izzy blushes? Love you, Stavros, but fuck you.
Yeah, Stavros, if you can get that woman to blush, I don't know what you done did, child.
Look,
All
we
right.
certainly try.
I do. I've cried. I've sobbed. I have blushed before. Mostly in embarrassment because y'all ripped me a new one on my own stories. But which I did not, even though I had an extra day, did not get to doing the prompt. I apologize. I found out that I had some plot holes, and that was not helping me with writing.
I mean, I submitted, but it's got nothing to do with the prompt whatsoever. I just felt bad that I hadn't submitted in like the last 3 weeks. I was like, here, this is what I just did.
That's fine. And I'm blurry again. Yay, fun. I hate my life. The last time she saw him, Caleb had promised to come back, but Celine had never expected this. They had been childhood friends, grew up together at her grandmother's home with shared meals and teasing over throwing bouncing balls too hard, or her favorite TV show. It all came crashing down the day Celine had stepped out for a moment. She came back to her house destroyed with nothing but a tag left. Caleb's tag from his time in the military. Celine went about life convinced he was dead. She joined the police force and took on cases about strange readings all over her city until she met Silas. He entered her life bold and dramatic. She needed answers about a case from him, but Silas had her play a game to win the answers. Soon enough, she was falling for him and he was delivering roses to her work. Yeah. Got it.
Was that it?
No. No.
Okay.
Technical multitasking difficulties. Okay.
Someone heard Izzy's voice and had to come over.
Oh, hello, Salem. That's my pretty baby. Celine laid on Silas's couch, tired from the long walk through the mall. He had her pick out anything that caught her eye. His fingers raked through her hair as Silas rubbed her scalp. The sensation leaving her sleepy and melty like a roasted marshmallow. Sweetie, are you getting sleepy on me? His deep voice rumbled. Not at all, Celine slurred, trying to feign alertness. Silas chuckled as his face closed in on hers. We both know how to catch a kitten in a lie, like how I did just now. He scooped her up as she squealed. Silas watched swiftly with Celine in his arms toward the bedroom, her protests falling on deaf ears. I'm super tired, Silas. I should probably go home, she said. He clicked his tongue her way. Sweetie, we both know you truly want to stay, and after all that exercise, you'll need a shower. He placed Celine down on the counter in his ensuite bathroom, turning on the walk-in shower. Celine did want to stay, but she didn't know what to do next. She had buried herself in her work after Caleb. But she tried to speak before his finger trailed her lips and interrupted her. Time for your shower. I will personally make sure you clean every bit of your body, just in case. Last time you didn't wash your hair, even though it had stuck to your neck all day, Silas stated, his tall frame towering over her, his deep red eyes piercing hers. Her mouth went dry at the concept. Shouldn't someone check on Mephisto? Hoping Celine could use the bird to escape the shower, his eyebrow raised with a silent stare. He can handle being alone for 1 hour. Up you go, sweetie. Then Silas smirked and leaned in close, his face a breath away from hers. Unless you need my assistance.
I know literally nothing about this game other than the 10 minutes that I played it before I realized my iPad couldn't handle it, and all the clips I've seen on TikTok. So I'm gonna assume that was in character and go, fuck yeah. I don't know. Um, in regards to spice level for reading out loud, nothing explicit. Like we're allowed to discuss sex, but I'm pretty sure we can't read flat out smutty scenes on here.
Yeah, no. I would very not. No. No. There we go. Okay. Dun, da, da, da.
Yeah, like, unlike TikTok, the word sex is not bad word, can't say that kind of thing. So it's
Right.
not that level, thank fuck. But we're also we won't be reading any passages from my books to like that's it's no.
I absolutely hate that I am blurry as hell. All right. Now, here's Stavros's other prompt. Wolfsbane Academy mentions that it was several chapters on Wattpad and decided to sideline it and get serious about Phoenix Child. And I would show y'all the book, Phoenix Child, but y'all can't see it. This really is killing my Vanna White responsibilities. It's really driving me bonkers.
I don't want to say anything. I don't want to jinx it. It's reminding me of the like really early days YouTube where they would like put the hand right in front of the camera and then slowly back it up so the autofocus would go where it had to be.
I mean, there is that option. Very rarely does any of that work for me. The heck? Start camera. There we go. I hate it. Okay. Anyway, done fucking around with it. All right. So, Wolfsbane Academy has been reworked and revamped. Apprentice Oaks, your mission is at Wolfsbane Academy. The monotone of a voice modulator filled Valerie's ears. She sat on the couch in her studio apartment, her legs crossed as she stared out the window. Wolfsbane Academy, the one place where everything could help her for once. Accepted. What are my details? She said. There was a pause on the other end of the line, likely looking over the notes, but to her it felt like a decade as she leaned forward and clutched the phone to her ear. She hoped it was the mission that would accept her into that special unit in Kansas. The one what only allowed the best of the best to fight against crime and paranormal attacks. You are to infiltrate as a student and blend in. Students and teachers have not been acting normal, and there is concern of suspicious activity, the voice said. Understood, the dialed tone rang against her ear. She huffed a scoff as she looked down at the letter in her hands. Blending in at Wolfsbane Academy, not as hard of a mission as she expected. She glanced at the ripped-up paper on her side table. Uncle David had written her an old-fashioned letter, down to the cursive letter of his calligraphy pen. Valerie gritted her teeth. The bastard. He had basically summed it up to saying she was not worthy of the name Oaks, and if she didn't succeed at Wolfsbane Academy, then he would make sure she didn't make it into her prized unit. He had paid her entry into the school. She sighed and stared up at the ceiling, nothing like the present to move on. It was perfect timing, too. Valerie needed to be gone from this apartment. That funny feeling of someone following her returned the last time she went to the store. With a groan, she got off the couch and packed up all the belongings she had on her, which wasn't much. In an hour, she was on the road, driving for the school 2 hours away. Valerie stopped at a gas station half an hour out from the school. She hadn't eaten, and convenience store food was the easiest. She snatched a bag of chips and threw them on the counter with a Sprite. The clerk looked her up and down with a squint. That'll be $11.94. Valerie sighed and fingered through her wallet before she paused. With a facepalm, she realized there wasn't any need to scrounge up change anymore. Her rich asshole uncle, in the time she had been driving, deposited money through e-transfer to her, at least enough to get by until she could be on campus grounds and under their protection. Then maybe that shadow following behind her would disappear. She swiped her bank card and returned to her vehicle. Half an hour later, she arrived outside the school where students lined up for entry, a large gate obstructing their path. Valerie pulled into the parking lot beside the asphalt outside the entrance. With a deep exhale, she grabbed her things and joined the group. Immediately, she knew it wouldn't be easy to fit in. For one, the group had at least 2 girls dressed head to toe in club wear. The colors they wore were so vibrant they could be neon signs. There was a group off to the side that donned ears and tails, but when Valerie squinted closer, she realized they weren't real. Was that kind of offensive to werewolves? Not normally one to stand around hovering, Valerie approached the closest person to looking like a teacher. A woman with dark auburn hair stood at the front of the pack of students. The clipboard she held up to her chest caused a crease, making her breast almost pillow around it. A couple of young boys stared up, agape at the woman like they had never seen one before. Valerie snickered quietly. With her bag over her shoulder, the woman appeared, the auburn one, and showed her acceptance letter and ID. The woman looked up at her and smiled. Her finger strolled through the list on the clipboard, then stopped. Ah, yes, there you are. Valerie Oaks, Complex 3, Apartment 12. You will have 2 roommates. Valerie's eye twitched. That would make it hard to sneak around. Any way I can have a room to myself? She said. The woman frowned. Sorry, no. Admin arranged these assignments months ago. I'm afraid there's no exception. Valerie pinched her nose and was about to speak again before another voice cut in. Well, hello, newbie, a girl from behind her said. Valerie turned and donned a smile that looked closer to a grimace. Hi. The blonde-haired girl stuck out a manicured hand and shook when Valerie followed through. Nice to meet you. Haven't seen you before. You new? The girl's thick eyelashes blinked at her. Valerie slowly glanced at the blonde's outfit. What type of person would choose to wear a skin-tight dress to school on the first day? She raised an eyebrow. Yeah, just arrived a second ago. The blonde gave a giant smile, too wide to be genuine. She let go of the girl's hand and eyed her with suspicion. Welcome to Wolfsbane Academy. Stick near me and you'll learn just what it means to be successful. Those who are friends of Tabitha Notice have no qualms getting into any position they want to. Tabitha flicked her blonde hair over her shoulder. Her teeth grinned in a savage bite. Valerie pursed her lips as silence filled the space between them. I think I know what it means to be successful, she said. An awkward air hovered around them. Tabitha seemed to perfectly understand exactly what Valerie was trying to get at.
Tabitha.
Honestly, I've never met a shitty Tabitha.
I have.
Oh, okay. I take that back. I met one shitty Tabitha. She did get her lights rearranged,
The
but
only
it
Tabitha
was
I
a
know
certain use.
is on Bewitched.
Can Anaskus. Oh, Cananascus.
I'm
I
intrigued by the
apologize.
fact that I'm intrigued by the fact that she's apparently working to get involved in a secret team of basically black ops for the paranormal, and yet she can pass for a high schooler? College? Which
I mean, come on. 21 Jump Street.
Never been kissed.
Yeah. And none of those pass these days. They're literally mocked these days. Now, it's not a criticism. I said I'm intrigued because that makes me wonder what she is.
Is she a witch? Is she? It's like, what do we got going on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, my bestie in the whole wide world.
Hello.
Cash,
And
we're talking about you.
and yes, this would be Kesh Butler. This is another scene in her ongoing rework of something that she started 17 years ago, the world of Etlan. And there is a warning, people, on this one. There is hinted specific acts against those under a certain age.
I mean,
So
again, it's Twitch. You can
I
say it.
know, but again, this also will be streamed, or well, not
the
streamed.
tube of views. Yeah.
The tube of views.
Define hinted because might have to.
It says warning for content / trigger warning for abuse and hinted sexual abuse of a child. So we'll see where we're at.
Gauge it.
And we'll gauge it. And if I start to feel uncomfortable or anyone else starts to feel uncomfortable, please break in. Kesh does not mind. We all. It's just someone talking to an adult about it. Okay. Thank you for that clarity.
That will probably be fine.
That'll probably be fine. But you never know. You know, it's a content warning, where sometimes even the smallest thing can trigger, even the thought of. So please mind your mental health. There we go.
All I meant was for like the content for the streaming sites themselves. it will be fine. In regards to actual listeners, absolutely go with your own judgment. Absolutely.
Right. Right. And that's where I was going.
Yeah.
All right. With a swift kick, the door splintered, revealing the twin sisters in their hiding space. The older and physically larger of the two, Iliera, did her best to cover her smaller twin with her body, trying to protect her from their father. Iliera, get out of the way. This does not concern you. King Bayard reached for the elder of the twins, taking her by her arm and trying to pull her out of the abandoned scullery closet. She braced her legs on either side of the closet door, trying with all her strength to keep their father from separating her and Iliandra, but she lost the fight, and he roughly pulled her from within the hiding place and pushed her to the floor on the opposite side of the corridor. Iliera climbed to her feet, lunging at her father and letting loose on him with a series of punches to his back and side and kicks to his legs. Iliera, this does not concern you. He turned, his nostrils flaring and red-colored eye ablaze with anger. He pushed her away again. Please, please don't take her. Don't take her away, please. Iliera begged, not wanting her sister to be taken away from her. Ever since their brother had left to be taken into the Oscarai, Iliera had been the only buffer between Iliandra and their father, the Dragon King, not seeing much use for the child that didn't have the will to become a warrior like the rest of her family. How strong fighters like myself and your mother could produce such a small, weak child, I will never know, he groused, pushing Iliera off and motioning for one of his pack brothers to hold her back. He turned back towards Iliandra and picked her up, the younger twin crying and fighting him as best she could. But she was nowhere near a match with her sister, let alone their father. Bayard threw her over his shoulder and walked down the hall. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Bayard threw her over his shoulder and walked down the hall. Iliera fighting the man, holding her with everything she had. She finally broke out of his grasp and ran down the hall after the two of them, trying to catch up and stop him from taking Iliandra. She didn't want to be alone with their father. She came to a window with a view of the courtyard, King Bayard having made it down before she had been able to fight herself free of his pack brother. She ran down to the ground level as fast as she could, trying to stop them from leaving. Iliera knew if they left, it would be a very long time till she would see her twin again. She couldn't imagine her life without her sister being with her. She didn't want to imagine life without her. She burst out into the courtyard, still running and trailing her father and sister as he started to urge his horse to walk through the front arch of the palace gates. Not stopping, Iliera caught up with his horse, running past the animal and stopping in front of it. Locking her own red eyes with her father defiantly, Iliera stood her ground as he yelled at her to move out of the way, but she refused. King Bayard began yelling at guards to move her out of the way, but she pushed them off each time. I refuse to be without her. I don't want to be without my sister, she roared at him, all her rage and pain from years of herself and her sister being mistreated coming out in one sentence. It's not Iliandra's fault that she doesn't want to fight. It's not fair. You can't separate us. You can't. Tears were falling from her eyes as she looked at her sister's woe-filled ones. Idra, why are you like nothing is happening? Iliera demanded. We both know what he's separating us. Can't you see? She pleaded with her sister. Yet Iliandra's bronze-colored eyes were wide in fear as she remained silent like she always did when she was in distress. One of the many reasons King Bayard would list off when asked why he disliked his youngest daughter so much. Father, please don't, please, she whimpered as she was dragged out of the way by palace guards, her father riding by on his mission to discard her twin. She screamed in frustration as her father and sister disappeared down the path toward the town and the main temple complex. Iliera's cries of frustration turned into cries of despair because she knew it would be a long time till they would see each other again, and she was powerless to do anything about the situation. She feared what might happen now that she was alone with their father. King Bayard had rode up to the gate to the main complex, demanding to see the Chamber of Elders. One of his daughters sitting in front of him in the saddle, tears streaming down her face. "What is your business with the elders, your majesty?" One of the attendants to the chamber came out to the gates to find what Bayard was wanting of them, his blue eyes and ceremonial tattoos covering his face and neck. "I am giving them this runt of a child. She is of no use to me," he said as to the priest who had been sent to speak with him. The king dismounted, roughly pulling the girl from the horse and setting her down on the ground. She was starting to grow into the awkward phase where she wasn't a child, but wasn't a young woman either. "But how could you just abandon one of your children?" The shock in the priest's voice telling of the alarm of what the king was doing. "How could I abandon my child?" King Bayard sounded like he was affronted by the question. "Think of her as a gift to the temple from the royal family." He pushed the girl toward the priest, who looked about as confused as one could get. The child remained detached from her situation, her eyes wide as she looked between her father and the priest. "This is most unusual. The elders will not approve of this." The protests from the priests were going unheard. "She belongs to you now," King Bayard said as he got back on his horse, riding away back toward the palace. The priest looked at the young girl, who looked back at him, very obviously terrified of what was going on. "Well, come along. Let's take you to the elders and see what they want to do about this situation." He placed a hand gently over her shoulders, leading her through the gates and into the complex. "What is your name, young one?" he asked her as they walked through the courtyard leading to the main building at the center of the complex. "Eliandra," the princess replied softly. The priest almost had missed her reply. "Young Eliandra, I am going to take you into the Chamber of Elders. They will decide what the best course of action is for you. I am sorry that your father has placed you in this situation." His attempts at consoling the young girl seemed to be partially working. The tears falling down her face had stopped, and her fear seemed to be melting away, at least for the time being. She looked up at him, nodding her understanding as they entered the building where her future waited for her. The moment sensed the child walk The moment since the child walked into the antechamber of the main council room for the elders, Time knew she was the key to changing everything. She would be the key to end the centuries-long war between the dragons and the elves. "Bring her to me. I will take her under my wing." She stood, waiting for the young priest who had been sent to speak with the king to bring the girl to her. Eliandra looked at the dragoness in awe, as her nebulous wide eyes looked both past her and through her at the same time. The blue-black scales accenting the hairline of her shock-white hair. Reflected torchlight brought out the iridescence in her scales that was rare among the dragons. It made the blind seer all the more a sight to behold to anyone around her. "Do not despair. Your destiny lies here with me. I will teach you and raise you to change Etlan for all the better. For you will do great things, young princess. Things that your father would never imagine you being able to accomplish. For your presence here is truly a gift for Etlan to be grateful for." Time reached her hand out for the girl to take, Eliandra placing her hand in the elder's, and she wrapped her fingers, the silver rings on the tips tickling the princess's palm. "How am I going to change Etlan?" "Oh, you will see. One day in the future, you'll know. I know that you will help to end the war with the elves." This at the girl, and then in the direction of the priest who had escorted the young princess. "Father has always said that the elves are nested, that they speak two ways and do not abide by their agreements. Why would I want anything to do with one of them?" Eliandra was mystified why the elder would say she would have a fate with one of them. "Please lead me and the young one to my chambers. I wish to talk privately with the princess." Time looked forward in what seemed to be a random direction. "Yes, elder," the priest bowed. "Please let me place my hand on your shoulder and guide me while you follow young Saradoc through the chamber building." She looked to Eliandra, holding her hand out, waiting for her to allow the dragoness to rest her hand. Heliandra moved, guiding the dragoness's hand where she wanted it to be, and then started walking. If I am not mistaken, you are Heliandra. Is that correct? The elder looked to the girl, who looked back in surprise. How did you know? She carefully turned, the dragoness looking forward as they continued following Saradoc. I may be blind, but I still see many things. I see great things, and terrible things, and things as mundane as a person's name. I also was the one who presided over you and your sister's public presentation to the kingdom when the two of you were still infants. I remember you being smaller than your sister. I also knew then that you were going to come to me. Time smiled warmly as Ileandra blushed. Father says that my being so small is a curse on our bloodline. She continued to lead Time behind their guide, hoping she didn't mess anything up. Your father quickly forgets that his mother was very petite. She had come up to his chin when he was an adult. So if he wants to blame anyone for your stature, he should blame himself. He gave you your size. The elder answered as they took a corner into a different hall from the one they had been walking through. I didn't know that. The girl's soft voice was unsure of what she was being told. We have arrived, elder, Saradoc announced, bowing to both Ileandra and Time. Thank you. You may return to your post. Go forth and be the divine, Time said as she placed her 4 fingers over her mouth and bowed, pulling her hand a breath away from her mouth. Go forth and be the divine, Elder Time. The priest repeated her gesture and then left the two of them alone in the corridor. Ooh. Ooh. Be the divine. Not be divine, but be the divine. Would you open the door, Ileandra? Time's blind stare looked into nothing. The girl did as she was told, her hand shaking in her fear as she did. She was unsure of what lay ahead for her and her sister now that they had been separated. She led the elder into the darkened room, looking for a source of light she could use to see better. There should be some lamps on the shelf next to the door. There should also be matches to light the wicks. When I am alone, I do not need the light since I see nothing. But I keep the lamps for my assistants, which you will now be as well, she told her as she walked into the room.
That's what they want.
She told her as she walked into the room, sitting down on a couch that the girl could barely see. Ileandra used the light creeping in through the door to find the lamps and matches. She took a match and struck it on the rough surface of the canister they were stored in. The wick came to life, casting a warm sphere of light around the princess, revealing the walls of the room to be lined with shelves full of red and gray clay tablets, each one having a name or subject and a date chiseled into the side. You will eventually learn how to read and write in the arcane script, but for now, I will have you be my guide and help me with other more mundane things. You are too young to join the temple and be housed among the priests and priestesses who call the temple complex home, but you can stay with me here till you are of age and can make the choice to join one of our orders for yourself. The dragoness seemed to be following where Ileandra was walking as she looked among all the shelves and the clay tablets. Do you have any questions for me, young one? The elder still seemed to be following Ileandra as she looked through the shelves. Would it be rude if you have always been blind? The girl turned and looked at Time. The dragoness's white hair was sitting over her shoulder, long and straight. To the girl, she was exquisitely beautiful. The stark contrast between her scale color and her hair to trust and follow. She was also much, much more kind than her father. I was not born this way. When I took the oaths to become the temple seer, my eyes became clouded, but I see so much more now than I ever did with my eyesight. Time's reply was not what Ileandra had expected. How long have you been the seer? She was afraid to offend, but she also had learned how to phrase things in ways that would not set her father off, but still get her questions answered. I think I have been seer for about 130 years now. I lose track, but I'm sure there are several records of when I took my oaths in the archives. Her answer was patient, something the young princess wasn't used to with either of her parents. I'm sure that my mother will have words for my father once she's found out that he separated myself and Iliera. Can you see that? She was hopeful that her mother might fix the situation, but knew ultimately what her father said would be what happened. It will cause an irreconcilable rift between her and your father, yes. She will be coming to see you within the next few days. That I see. Time's voice took a low tone when she spoke about what was to come. Will my sister be with her? The girl's hopefulness came through in the question. That I cannot see. I am sorry, the seer replied. What I do see is that the both of you will see each other soon enough. I just cannot say when or if it will be because of your mother's defiance of your father, she added, shifting in her seat. I would like to get you settled now. I would like you to go fetch my attendant, Emile. She should be in the room next door. You can use the door behind me, or you can go to the main door in the corridor. I want her to help you settle into your own chamber. Time directed Iliandra. The girl turned from the shelf she had been examining, walking past the elder and to the door behind her. She reached for the handle with the trepidation she had been feeling most of the day since her father had told the twins they were to be separated. For their own good, according to the king. Walking through the door, Iliandra found herself in a receiving room with 4 chamber doors, one that led to the corridor, and 3 she assumed led to the private room of the seer's helpers. Emile, Elder Time is asking for your presence. Iliandra tried to speak up, her confidence not being what it should for it to truly be heard. Her fear of the situation was getting the better of her. She just wanted her sister. Emile? She cleared her throat, finding that she could be a little louder afterwards. Hello? A young human with tattoos across her face and body to imitate the scales of a dragon's stepped out of one of the doors. Who are you? You are rather young to be an initiate. Her voice was sweet and heavily accented, betraying her ancestry to one of the northernmost provinces. It was the same accent her mother had. Elder Time asked me to get a meal for her. Is that you? Iliandra switched to her mother's dialect, surprising the priestess. Oh, yes, I am Emile. And how wonderful. You know of the northern provinces, then? She walked toward the girl, kneeling to bring herself more to her level. My mother is from the north, she replied, looking over her shoulder into Time's chamber. The elder asked me to get you and bring you to her? Iliandra turned and walked back into the room where the seer was seated. You needed me? Emile followed, kneeling into a deep bow before the dragoness. Yes, I need your help getting young Iliandra settled into chambers of her own. She will be our helper till she is of age to decide what vocation she would like to choose within the temple. The elder bowed her head to Emile, who stood and walked to where Iliandra was standing. Iliandra, Ili is from the arcane language. It makes for an unusual name. Emile extended her hand for the girl to take, leading her back into the rooms adjacent to Time's chambers. Your rooms will be in here. The priestess indicated to the door next to the room she had used as a receiving room or office, and the second was meant to be sleeping quarters. Let me see. I think we will need bedding for you. That should be easy enough. Then some clothing more appropriate for your position as Elder Time's helper. Then maybe we should find you some furniture. Maybe a desk and stool and a reading chair for your studies. I am sure that the elder will want you to continue your studies now you're here. Is there anything else you'd want to make yourself more comfortable, little one? The woman looked down at Iliera, placing a hand over her shoulder reassuringly as they spoke to each other in the northern dialect. Let me go and find you that bedding and some clothes for you. Make yourself at home, little one. This will be your own space, separate from anyone else. She was trying to reassure the girl, but Iliandra was still feeling very shaken. She just nodded to the kind priestess and sat on the bare bed as she watched Emile leave to find as many of the things she had listed off to her. The rest of the furniture will take me a few days to procure, but we will get you everything you need. Emil returned with bedding and some clothes for Ileandra pretty quickly, wanting to make sure the girl was comfortable as possible. You're going to be okay, little one. I promise. Emil sat on the bed next to Ileandra, wiping the girl's tears from her eyes. I just want to be with my sister. I don't understand why me not wanting to be a Valkyrie and being unable to fight makes me unworthy. The tears began to freely fall, all the fear and sorrow from the day's events finally catching up with her, making her heart heavy. Oh, little one. The woman wrapped her arms around the girl, hugging her and letting her get all her emotions out. I will stay here with you as long as I can, I promise. She soothed Ileandra, knowing that the girl needed most right then was someone who cared. Emil stayed until Ileandra had dozed off to sleep, the child exhausted from the ordeal of being separated from her twin. The woman moved her head to the pillow and put one of the blankets over her, leaving the girl to sleep for what the woman hoped would be the rest of the night. She's asleep, Elder. Do you need anything of me this evening? She asked the dragoness, who many times would just sit in her chambers, quietly contemplating her visions before dictating them. I need you to write some things down for me, and I want you to find the tablet with the young princess's name on it. I think what I'm about to dictate to you may be connected with what is on that tablet. Ime reached her hand out to the side, looking for her beaded chain that she would use to help her concentrate on her visions. She found the end, taking it in her hand and pulling the delicate chain through her fingers, trying to find the largest bead, the starting bead. She found it and began to slowly work the chain through her fingers, counting each small one as she tried to concentrate on what she was seeing. She came to the first of the medium-sized beads, stopping and almost rolling it between her fingers as she closed her eyes and began to describe to Emil what she was seeing. I can see into their dreams, the dreams that connect her to the young prince of the elves. She sees him, but not as he is now, and he sees her, but not as she is now. The beast that awakens now cries to her then, his heart in pieces as they are pulled away. She is alone for far too long, until such a time that death comes to her door, but not for her, and takes away that is most dear to the both of them, binding them together. She will have her path, and he his, till one day they shall meet again to find their mutual peace. The elder stopped, waiting for Emil to indicate that she was finished taking down her words. Time finished working her fingers through the beads on the chain, coming back around to the largest of them, stopping and taking a deep breath. Many times she would only take the most shallow of breaths when she was interpreting her visions, causing her to have to breathe deeply several times between each interpretation she would dictate on any given night. Once Emil was finished making notes, she read what she had written down back to the seer, who nodded her approval, indicating she was ready to dictate another vision. They moved on to the next, repeating the process where Emil would read back what she had written, change what she needed to, and they would move to the next. They did this 3 more times before Time indicated that she was finished for the night. Emil set down the quill in her hand, standing and walking to where the dragoness sat. She took the elder's hands, helping her up and then leading her to her bedchamber, helping Time to change and ready herself for bed. I shall be fine now, Emil. Go and rest yourself. And if you could, check on Ileandra. I hear her stirring. The elder told her assistant. The woman turned, leaving her to get herself to bed while she went to check on their new charge. She walked up to Ileandra's room, quietly listening before she tried to enter. She could hear her crying again. She knocked before she opened the door to see what was bothering the girl. What bothers you, little one? Emil sat next to the girl, worried about her. My sister and I have never slept apart. We've always been in the same room, if not the same bed. I miss Iliera. The girl sniffed as she wiped her nose with her arm, her tear-stained cheeks and reddened eyes telling the priestess that the girl had been crying for a while. I know you miss your sister, but I promise it will be all right. One day your father will pass between the veils and he will have to account for his actions in life. Emil told the girl, hoping it would help to console her. I know. I just want to know that Iera is going to be all right. She looked up at the woman, putting her arms around her neck and laying her head on Emil's shoulder. Is there a reason to worry for her safety? She asked the girl, not sure if she would even know. Eleandra remained quiet for an incredibly long time, making Emil very uncomfortable with the silence from the girl. Eleandra, does your sister have to worry about her safety from your father? The priestess repeated, starting to worry. Yes. Eleandra finally nodded. I'm sorry. Do you think that it is something your mother would be able to intercede on your sister's behalf? Emil was trying to get as much information from the girl as she could without causing the child to stop talking. Possibly. I don't know. Last I heard, Mother is at the front fighting against the elves, she replied, tucking a strand of her cropped coppery hair behind her ear. I see. Well, who is your mother? Maybe if you write her, she'll at least know there is an issue. We have a contingent of healers that are going there to help the healers already there. Maybe someone could get that letter to her, the woman suggested. The idea made Ileandra stop and think. Maybe? My mother is Hilda, the leader of the Valkyrie, the girl said softly, almost as if she wasn't supposed to say anything. Hilda? Then that would mean that you're one of King Bayard's daughters. Oh, Ileandra. Emil trailed off, knowing exactly what that meant for the twin left behind if the rumors whispered through the kingdom were even partially true. He and some of his pack brothers have leered at her since we can remember, but always when my brother wasn't around. Once Doran left to join the Oscarai, it became worse. I think the only reason he hasn't touched her was because of my presence. But Iera is a fighter like Mother. She won't let him do anything. At least, I hope she wouldn't let him. She was crying again. Thinking about her sister being left alone with their father wasn't sitting well with the girl. As far as Emil thought, it shouldn't sit well with anyone. We will write your mother. I think the best thing to say is to tell her what happened to you, and she will do what she needs to do to get your sister away from your father. The woman kept her arms wrapped around the girl, doing everything she could to reassure and comfort her again. Emil stayed till she fell back to sleep. This time she decided to stay, pulling one of the more comfortable chairs from the sitting room into the girl's bedroom. She went into her own room, grabbing her blankets and the book she had been reading, setting herself up at the foot of the girl's bed. She conjured up a small glow orb, setting it next to herself in the arm of the chair, and began to read till she nodded off herself. Ma'am.
I have thoughts. And they're not good ones.
Ditto.
That was some powerful shit, though.
That's what that was, and I'm totally here for it, and I'm impressed wholeheartedly. But Kesh, I'm going to have words with you later. Just know.
Cash, just know your days are numbered.
Days are numbered.
Seeing us.
Because we intend for this to go up on YouTube, I'm going to refrain from saying the thoughts that are going through my head at the moment.
And when I say numbered, it's only because I will see your happy little tail very soon at Pack and the Readers.
I will say, though, I very much like the treatment of it because, as we know, this kind of shit actually does happen, right? And Emil is very much like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get a hold of your mom, and it's obviously frowned upon in this world. right? So that was relayed very well. But who's going to go up against the king, right? So you've got fiction imitates life, right? So
I mean, it wouldn't be evoking these kind of reactions from us if it wasn't written well.
I didn't. Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I would consider that the point. I mean, it is the point, but that's not the point.
Right?
Sweetie, you can't have these gummies. These are special gummies. You can't have them.
No special gummies. No.
No special gummies for me either.
Go to bed. Go lay down.
But Mom, I don't want to go to bed.
Right?
Go. Clingy ass dog. She's not even my dog.
Hello, boys.
Oh, belly hurt.
Okay. Next up
is an anonymous, I think.
No, next up is our very first prompter, Trisha Jones, who always gets us with very few words. And this is probably going to be another one where our hearts are going to be clamped in either jealousy or awesomeness or fear, because yep. Oh, okay. Oh, there's no preface as to what it's related to, so we'll see. Trisha. Why are you acting like nothing happened? She demanded. We both know what we did. Because it's not a big deal, I said, stretching. They said they wanted to be vampires. The vein in Abby's forehead bulged. They were stupid teenagers. They didn't know what the hell was happening. They should have been more careful what they asked for, I argued. They were children. They did not know that they were going to be turned, she yelled. They were barely old enough to make the decision for themselves. They will be fine, I said, walking over to Abby. You know that they'll be taken care of and they'll be taught how to hunt. They are going to survive this like we all have. It is wrong to turn someone so young because they do not understand and they will not survive. They were too young, even if you say in the council says that they were of legal age to turn. I don't agree. Abby's face was turning red, which is a feat to have that happen. What is done is done. We can't change that. We can't make them human again. They will forever be a vampire until they either decide to volunteer dirt or lose in a fight to a stronger vampire. They should never have been put into that place, Abby argued. If you feel so strongly against what we did, why did you do it? I asked. Abby opened and closed her mouth like a fish before storming off. She slammed the door as she left. I shook my head. I got dressed in a nice outfit, and then I went out to hunt.
I mean, she probably have a good point. Like, if you're so mad about it, why'd you help? Because for all the lore of all the various different stories, pretty much every version when it comes to making a vampire, there are steps. It's a process.
It's a process. Absolutely. All right. Un momento. I need more tea. And yes, I agree, Kesh. Ms. Jones.
Oh my god, what are you chewing on now? See, you are excellent proof as to why I am never going to have children. What you got? Let me see. Brat. I'm gonna get some water myself. Oof. It was a dog. The dog was chewing on a Pepsi can that she got out of the garbage. I don't know what it is. She's got this fixation with chewing on aluminum. She likes to chew on tinfoil and pop cans.
That's when I have to explain to the animal that literally they are not goats.
Right? I'm like, honey, you're gonna tear your gums up. This is not good for you. You have much like children who always wanted a toy. You've got like 32 toys. Why are you chewing on the can? Why are you playing with the box? Oh no! Did the Leafs just lose?
Yeah, it's starting to storm.
Oh, the Leafs didn't just lose. The Leafs got spanked. 6-1. Oh, my friend Zoe's not happy right now. Oh, honey, that's what you get for supporting the Maple Leafs.
Very sorry for the delay. There was a house centipede or something that Miss Pearlin was trying to go after, and those are not safe for kitty cats to eat. Gross. All right, and next up, here is an anonymous one. Not our first anonymous prompter of the year last year. Not our one from around the new year earlier this year. Completely new anonymous, and does say first and foremost it in the subject line. Please blame JD. It's all her fault. And by JD, that means Julie DeFisher.
I was gonna say, are we talking about?
Yeah, it's all my fault. And guess what? I'm glad I fucking tell you.
You're always starting something.
Right? It's also called Marked by the Dawn. And the file is called Mafia Romance. Okay, there you go. Chapter 1, The Breaking. You don't get to own me anymore, Clary muttered more to herself in her nearly empty house, picking up clothes and already smelling another woman's perfume. She tossed another shirt on the pile of clothes on the closet floor. Clary Monroe didn't run anymore. Not unless she had to. And tonight, she had to. The final straw on the already broken camel's back. Countless shirt collars stained in lipstick. The endless messages on the machine begging for Joseph to come back to them. Her hands moved fast, shoving pajamas and tiny socks into a duffel bag while her heart galloped like a runaway horse. Ava's favorite hoodie, her frog, the white noise machine shaped like a turtle. Clary had pre-packed a dozen times in her head. This time was real. 30 seconds, maybe less, since she had hung up on the last woman calling and begging for her husband. The cracked wall clock ticked louder than it should have. Then came the sound she'd feared, the growl of his truck engine cutting off, the headlights slicing across the windows, the jangle of keys, the low slam of the door. He was home. Too early. She froze. For one breath. Two. Then grabbed the bag and whispered, "Not tonight. Not this time." But the fear was a living thing inside her ribcage, held her frozen in place, hearing the voice in her head screaming all the while, "You waited too long." She should have left months ago, maybe years. Something always stopped her. Fear, hope, denial, the delusion that if she just tried harder, bent more, held her tongue, he'd stop making her feel like a ghost in her own skin. But tonight she'd heard him on the phone in the garage before he left to take care of something at the warehouse. His voice wasn't loud, but it didn't have to be. "If she talks, I'll make sure she doesn't talk again. Don't worry, she's mine. I'll handle it." Not a mistress, not a friend, a handler. He was gone what seemed to be forever, but in reality was short-lived. The front door opened. "Clary!" Joseph's voice rang through the house, sharp and venom-laced. "Don't you fucking dare!" She barely zipped the bag before the bedroom was hit with a swift kick. The door splintered, exploding open, revealing Clary standing alone. His boot had crushed the frame as he stormed in like a hurricane in human skin. "You think you can take my kid and walk out on me?" His voice cracked with rage. "You think you can just leave?" Don't lie to me." He spat, his eyes danced with rage she had never seen before, the smell of whiskey heavy on his breath. "I'm not taking her tonight," she said, breathless. I just need space. I'm sick of the other women calling." "Space?" he spat, laughing bitterly. "You've had space since Ava was born. Don't act like you're some fucking saint. You cut me off and expected me to play the happy husband. What the hell did you think would happen?" She flinched, but only for a moment. "That's how you justify cheating? That's how you spin it?" He stalked across the room, plucking a tabloid off the nightstand. Her last published story, "Former Senator's Secret Mistress Breaks Silence." Her byline just beneath the headline. He threw it to the floor, stepped on it, ground his heel into her name, then spit. "You think this gives you power? You think writing about other people's dirt makes you better than me?" She didn't answer, just stared at the wet smear on her name. "You're nothing without me," he growled. "You write trash, Clary. You don't even have a degree. No job's going to touch you when I'm done. You'll be broke, alone, because no man will dare touch what belongs to me. And you'll thank me when I show up with custody papers and take Ava for good. I'm not yours. You will always be mine, to do with as I please when I please." "You won't get her," Clary whispered. "I'll fight. I'll go to court. I'll prove what you are." He moved in fast, grabbing her wrist hard. She winced, but didn't break eye contact. If you even try to leave me, I'll bury you in court. Take Ava. You'll never see her again. She didn't cry, didn't scream. She looked him dead in the eye. Try me. I just heard thunder, and that was not a sound effect.
I was going to ask if that was real or if you did that.
I did not do that.
Mother Nature's playing. We get stuff coming in.
That was way too well timed.
It really was.
Was. That was. Whew. What I am, he said, chuckling low. Clary, you have no idea who you're married to. Something cold slithered down her spine. His smile turned mean, ugly. You think you know people because you dig up dirt for a living, because you write tabloid garbage and chase scandals. Let me tell you something. The people I know, real people, don't care about lawsuits. They don't care about custody. We make people like you disappear. She stared at him. You're bluffing. He leaned in close, voice like gravel. You think it's a coincidence I've never been caught? That I can walk out of a strip club at 3 a.m. with a senator's niece and not get so much as a parking ticket? She swallowed hard. Her skin prickled. You should see it as a privilege being married to me, he said, as if the words were generous. You want to whine about cheating? Maybe if you hadn't locked your legs like a nun every night, I wouldn't have needed anyone else. That did it. She pulled her arm away with a sharp jerk. Why are you acting like nothing happened? She demanded. We both know what you did. Get to the point. You're being a drama queen, Joseph hissed. I'm tired, she said, her voice shaking but rising. Tired of the shouting, the affairs, the gaslighting, the way you act like I should be grateful for you humiliating me. You should, he said, because without me, you're just a gossip columnist with no friends, no job, and a kid to feed. You're replaceable. No, Joseph, she said. You are. His hand rose. Clary didn't flinch. She stared at him, daring him. He didn't hit her, but the look in his eyes said he wanted to. Instead, he turned and stormed out, shouting something unintelligible. The front door slammed so hard the window rattled. She stood in the silent wreckage of their bedroom, breathing hard. Her wrist ached, her eyes burned. She thought of the first time he shoved her, the second, the third, how he'd always come back with flowers and stories, how she'd always believed some version of him was still buried under all the rot. That belief was gone now, along with any love she once had. Clary stood in the wreckage of their bedroom. Her hand throbbed, her chest hurt worse. She finished packing, grabbed her daughter's drawings from under the bed, whispering to herself, I have watched you disappear on us. Now watch us disappear on you. Outside, the night was damp and cold. Mist clung to the windshield as she loaded Ava, still asleep, into the car. She checked her phone. Unknown contact. The Baker family's weak link is Parker Valenti. He is currently unknown. We have no pictures of him at this time. Sources say they think he's just running a front. Infiltrate. Observe. Report. Passcode is Pine Glass. You in? Clary stared at the screen. Her ex-husband worked for the Baker family mafia. She had married a monster. Now she would help take him down, even if it meant walking straight into the lion's den. Her fingers tapped back. I'm in. She shifted the car into drive. You don't get to own me anymore. Without leaving a note or any trace of where she was going with Ava, they both vanished into the night. Clary drove for hours to a connection she had made while doing some investigation for a story. Mark. Clary's eyes darted around the nearly empty mall parking garage. Clary, my little fairy. Mark smiled and pulled her into an embrace. Uncle Mark, Ava squealed from the back seat. So you finally did it, kid. Mark waved at his little niece. Mark, let's not make a big deal out of it. Yes, I left him. Clary shifted uncomfortably in her car. Then let's make it newsworthy. Mark smiled and pulled out a set of keys to a Honda Pilot. New set of wheels registered to a long list of shell companies that are in no way traced back to you or me. let's switch things out so I can have my Lewis here take your car for my pal. Sorry. So I can have my pal Lewis here take your car for a very long drive. Do you think he will buy it? Clary, he has your car low jacked. We need to move quickly. Mark opened the door, pulling Ava out, giving her a quick hug before helping her into the new car. Bunny, I need you to be a good girl for your mama. Mark placed a kiss on top of her head. I will, Uncle Mark. Mama told me we are starting over and that Daddy is not coming with us. Ava smiled as she held her doll in her arms. That's right. If you ever see your daddy, I need you to turn and walk away. Hide. Call me or your mommy, okay? Okay. Good. Now you two get out of here. Days turned into weeks while Clary attempted to make a new life for her and Ava. The project on the back of her mind, a constant reminder of what she needed to do. Walking into the daycare with Ava in her arms, Clary made her way to the receptionist. Hello, can I help you? The receptionist turned up her nose at Clary with Ava in common clothes. Yes, I was wondering about. Clary was waved off by the receptionist. Miss, we are an exclusive daycare. I can already tell by your appearance that you do not have what it takes to have your. She swallowed hard and attempted to smile. Child would not be a good fit. Movement behind the receptionist caught both of their attention. A young man walked out of the office and cleared his throat. His eye locked onto Clary's, then moved to Ava, who only smiled and waved, causing him to pause. Stacy, is it? Yes, Mr. Anthony. Do not ever talk to our guests like that. I am so sorry for her behavior, miss. Anthony extended his head. Clary Lovegood. Clary, he smiled. I like it. And what about your name? Ava blushed and half hid her face, but not before mumbling, Ava? Well, Clary, Ava, how can I help you? Anthony leaned in, smiling at both of them. I was looking to get a teaching job at the daycare. Clary reached into her bag, pulling out a resume. When Stacy piped up, we're not hiring. Maybe go down the road to Little Hands. Stacy recoiled back from Clary. We have a higher standard for our staff. She turned, placing her hand on Anthony's chest. He looked down at her and brushed her off of him. Stacy, need I remind you, unless asked of you, don't touch me. Just because I am single does not give you the right to become so handsy. Now, as far as a job for Miss Lovegood, set her up right away. A ping from a phone could be heard, causing Anthony to pull the phone from his pocket. Anthony started to walk away, having a conversation in hushed tones. Mr. Parker, the woman you just hired. What is it, Sam? How many times do I have to tell you? Call me Anthony. No one can know who I really am. Not yet. Sorry, boss. It's just that she is the soon-to-be ex-wife of Joseph, one of the guys running the business out of the south end of town. The moment I met her, I knew she was going to change everything. I knew there was something special about her. Now I can finally win her over. What do you want done, boss? We employ her and look after her. Something tells me I need to keep an eye on that one. Anthony hung up the phone and walked out of the daycare. Dun, dun,
This is
dun.
very, very well written. I do have to say though, as soon as it said Baker Family Mafia, I immediately pictured like a pastry shop fronted by the mob, and I just started laughing. Thankfully, I was able to get back into the story very easily. It was just that split second broke me. It was like, oh my god.
I'm not gonna lie. I felt just a little bit triggered. I'm so thankful that I'm 2.5 years away from that and much more healed.
I will say, Mother Nature did play her part well.
Yes, she did for once.
That was insane. That was so crazy.
I mean, normally I will hear it out there, right? If it's thunder and lightning. But to have it come through my headphones?
Crystal clear.
My office is my desk is right by the window in my office. So like I have a storm coming in and it's been pretty wicked. They say that we're going to have some severe weather tonight. So
Well, you can keep it over there in Nebraska because I still don't have the tree that nearly took out my truck done. Like, no, I need a break. I've got a pile taller than me of twigs and branches and it is what it is. I gotta say, I kind of hope that this person keeps writing this story and brings it in.
Mhm.
And on behalf of Julie, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
Hey, you know how I feel about mafia stories. The more, the better.
Absolutely. All right. So,
yes, Cash, that was my thunder. And it wasn't the thunder from down under.
My ears have been hurting lately, so so it hurts to wear my headphones. So I have them volume maxed out, and then I have them just around my neck so I can still hear you. I could hear that thunder like I was wearing the headphones. It came through so loud.
amazingly enough, though, I didn't think thunder from down under the way Patrick said it. All I could think of, because the way he said the word thunder reminded me, is that Imagine Dragons that does that song?
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah, that's not
Love
the
that
song that
song.
I think of when I hear thunder. I think Thunderstruck.
No, it was the way Patrick said the word that sounded very similarly to the way Imagine Dragons says, feel the thunder. Feel the thunder. Yeah. There's ways that you say certain words and it just triggers other things. But yes, thunderstruck is another one. All right. So hey, Julie, have we read this one on live?
No. This is new.
This is new. I've heard bits and pieces of this.
But that's it.
But that's it. So, welcome to The Demon You Made.
Remember,
okay.
Where that one paragraph drops off is where you stop.
There's the big, huge thing before the name of the state.
Hold on a second, go into it.
Or ending with her name.
It ends with her name.
Ends with her name. And then it's got
big
the
gap
huge
right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we don't go on to the connections.
No, because I rewrote that and it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
There we go. The Demon You Made. Prologue. The Jagged Edge. Standing out on the ledge of life, staring at the decision like a jagged knife, and trying to decide whether it was time to end her life, Gia clutched the contents of the biggest bombshell ever to implode a family. Sobs racked her body as the contents of the anonymous package laid sprawled out on the floor. She wasn't sure if she could take this anymore. 10 years ago, Giovanna Brantley had met her husband, Adrian Maddox, at a gala she was covering for the fashion magazine. Gia, the ever-ambitious rising star, took to the young hotshot lawyer like a moth to a flame. From the moment she walked into the room, Gia commanded attention. Every designer wanted to be featured by her, along with every up-and-coming starlet. She had been known to make or break careers with just a flick of her pen. At 25 years old, Gia had made a name for herself, being able to spot underrated talent from across the room. Her defined look of pinned curls and simple pencil dresses gave her an air of old-world sophistication no one dared argue with. Even the tiny butterfly tattoo, a memento from a drunk college spring break in Cancun, peeked subtly from the base of her neck under her luscious dark curls. Gia had become known as the social butterfly when she happened to be mentioned in certain circles, a nickname that symbolized everything about her. Adrian Maddox had all the Southern charm that every woman in the room lapped up. Disarming anyone with his perfect smile and Southern manners, Adrian used this to his advantage to get near Gia.
That's it?
Dun dun dun.
Julie!
Oh, this is no, this is motherfucking tame compared to the introduction to this story that I got. I know Julie's usually the one talking that shit about Patrick. No. This time.
What?
Nope. Yeah. What Char's doing? With the you're number one, Julie. No, this is going to be good, and I think everybody is going to really, really fucking enjoy it. If you enjoyed Crossroads and the twists and the turns and the you did motherfucking what, and the darkness that Julie has shared with us that she is quite capable of achieving. Oh yeah, you're not going to be disappointed with The Devil You Made.
The rest is in her head, Kesh. That's where the rest of it is.
No, well, there's more, but it's been rewritten and whatnot, and so it's like Julie and I tend
paragraphs out, so therefore, it hasn't been mated together yet.
Oh, and here's the other thing. You know how Crossroads was done all out of order and then put together? Julie's pulling something else new on this one.
Stretching my ever-growing wings.
And how are we doing this, Julie?
Okay, one, there will be a trigger paragraph to let everybody know, hey, guard your mental health, because this is getting dark. And I mean, like, eclipse, middle of the fucking night, no stars in the damn sky, dark. Yes, I outlined.
Yes, outlined.
I not only outlined, but
planned this shit.
Yeah, I planned it, and believe me. Also, I'm going to dabble into a love triangle.
She's going to hurt herself. That's what she's going to do. She's going to hurt her feelings on purpose. Yeah. Normally it's the characters that hurt you because they are just talking and it all like pops out. But no, you know what situations these characters are going to get into and you're hurting yourself. Good luck with that.
Well, as everybody put it out there for Crossroads was the therapy book. This one's going to be an even bigger therapy book. And then following this book will be Ain't No Cinderella.
Yep. Rylan hasn't been talking to you for a while. So
Rylan has not been talking to me, but I'm hoping after anybody who remembers certain things being read out on when we were doing Crossroads, this is that Gia.
Why'd you have to spoil it?
I'm just saying that this is that Gia.
Damn it, now I'm not the only one who knows the secret. God!
I already knew.
So did I.
I know, but to openly talk about it.
Well, the whole thing is, I'm not going to talk about anything else. I'm just going to say that if they're
Good
like,
girl.
if anybody asks, it's like, is this the same one? Yep, this is the same gene. But I'm not going to say what else has been read out that also goes along with this.
Oh, well, and I tell you what, you all have done such a wonderful job of going dark and twisted tonight. And our last prompt of the evening, with 8 minutes to spare in
I have no bedtime
everything.
tonight. I have no
Well,
bedtime tonight.
no, it's that whole thing of the 2 hours, like trying to keep it. So, but hey, our scuff was shorter. This is our last submission, so we didn't do too bad. We didn't do too bad, right? Because I also have to work in the morning. So that's neither here nor there. I'm going to forewarn you that this might be a little freaking dark because Shar already asked me before we went live how I felt about reading out violence.
Yeah.
I got no problem with it. I can eat spaghetti while watching 30 Days of Night, even though it looks like brains. So, you know.
I mean, I didn't submit the part where a wine glass gets smashed, then the stem gets shoved into. So I didn't send that one, but
Right.
those are the vibes we're working with.
Those are the vibes we're working with. All right. So if anybody remembers the 2 people trapped in a house who are actually trying to kill each other because they really are enemies, here we go. Char's back. How big was this fucking house? Ashton stood in the middle of a workshop, rolling a large hammer in his hands and cursing his luck. He'd spent the better part of an hour exploring this damned house. On top of the tailoring room he'd already discovered, he'd found 2 large bathrooms, a music room, the kitchen, which had been cleaned out of its blades, of course, a ballroom large enough to house his entire squadron in with room to spare, an art room, a massive greenhouse, and even a parlor with tables for cards, billiards, and a damned dartboard. He'd entertained the idea of stabbing Zara's eye out with one of the darts or billiard cue poles, but as fun as that would be, it wasn't an assured instant kill. So he moved on. The wood shop had him weighing his options. He'd never been trained in the craft, but there were small whetstones in here. They were meant to keep chisels sharp, but he could probably sharpen one of the decorative blades the suits had. It would still be terribly off balanced, but so long as he got her pinned or tied down, he'd be able to take her head off with a strong enough swing. Honing them would take time, however, which was something he wasn't certain he had, especially if she figured out what he was doing. Scanning the shelves, he picked up 2 of the whetstones and slipped them into the pack he'd swiped from the weaving room. Taking the hammer in hand once more, he resumed his exploration of the house. It may not kill her, but it was something, at least. Maybe he could bash her head in faster than this place could heal her. I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm just... Wow. Talk about latent rage.
What like the I'm tired of enemies to lovers where it's just like, oh, he called me a bad name, or oh, he stole my job. No, man, they hate each other.
I'm on board. I'm totally on board. But I think because this kind of shit scares people, that's why it kind of became like frenemies to lovers.
Yeah,
Was the trope
not
became not actual enemies.
not this. No.
But I digress. Zara crouched down beside a huge potted plant, studying the glass walls that made up the greenhouse she discovered. The glass had been too thick for her to smash through, even with one of the rocks from the huge greenhouse, dashing her plans to fashion a crude kind of weapon with the shards. It didn't look that thick, which told her there were likely enchantments in place to keep it from breaking. probably working in tandem with whatever had healed her chest as soon as she'd pulled the arrow shaft free. Weapons were proving infuriatingly hard to find here. She'd already gathered all the kitchen knives she could find, and she'd even grabbed one of the cast iron pans from the kitchen for a makeshift shield of sorts against Ashton's damned arrows. Useless decorative pieces were displayed throughout the place. She'd found a collection of hammers in the woodworking room, and while she'd snagged one of the smaller ones in case he got close enough, she knew her skills didn't rest in blunt force, and it wouldn't be ideal. Especially not if this place healed him as fast as it did her. She needed something instant, which is why she currently found herself settled in the garden, weighing other options. Zara knew there were plenty of poisons that could work terrifyingly quick, had in fact used many of them in her life, but she didn't know how to recognize them in their natural state, let alone how to actually create them. That had always been Sierra's job. Zara simply used said poisons with ruthless efficiency. Not only that, there was also the question if this place's healing factor applied to poisons as well. There wasn't much point in wasting time figuring out how to create something if it wasn't going to work to begin with. Staring out the windows once more, she continued studying the land she could see surrounding the building. Zara had yet to actually leave the house. The idea of being out in the open in such an unknown place was far too stressful. For all she knew, there were snipers perched up in hidden places waiting to hit her with a well-placed arrow or spell. Not knowing the full layout of the area, however, had its own disadvantages. In her exploration of the building so far, she'd only found 2 bedrooms, both of which looked untouched. Aside from Ashton, she hadn't met anyone else, nor had she found any other versions of the stone room the two of them had woken up in. This led her to believe, while there may be lookouts of sorts, she and Ashton were the only 2 in the building. Whoever put them here intended for it to just be the 2 of them. She still couldn't work out why, but she wasn't concerned with that right now. The only thing on her mind was arming herself, figuring out the best vantage point, and finishing off the upstart bastard like she'd planned. Her gaze moved through the 20-foot walls she could see at the edge of the gardens and resigned herself to having to expose herself to whatever was outside. Ashton might even be out there, scoping out vantage points, and she couldn't let him get the drop on her. Better she find the ideal vantage point and take it for herself. She'd found his discarded bow along with a handful of arrows and had worked out that it wasn't any more an ideal weapon than the rest, leaving her, as far as she knew, at an advantage with the knives she'd found. With a shaky breath, she pushed at the glass doors she'd found in the greenhouse, ducking back as soon as it swung wide and waiting. When nothing came flying in at her, she darted through and dove into a thick clump of well-groomed hedges. Flowering vines that made her nose itch were climbing a trellis that ran up the side of the building, reminding her of the heavy perfumes the ladies of her court loved. Holding her breath, she tested the strength of it with one foot, then scaled the entire thing as rapidly as she could. A couple of metal bars bent and twisted, but it held her enough for her to reach the top. Zara hadn't found any stairs in her exploration indoors, and that suspicion was proven correct when she looked over the roof and found it more or less level. There were a few raised spots, but it was to accommodate a higher ceiling rather than a secondary floor. Instead of posting up at the highest point, she began creeping along the edge of the roof, looking over the surrounding grounds from every angle she could find, desperate to figure out where the fuck they were. Having exhausted every inch of the inside of the huge house he'd woken up in, Ashton warily approached a set of doors that opened up to the gardens he'd caught glimpses of, outfitted with what little he could find as weapons: a woodworking hammer, a fireplace poker, and a terrifyingly sharp pair of scissors from the tailoring room. Having accepted that he wouldn't find any better weapons, he'd resigned himself to his next critical task, getting a full scope of his surroundings. With the entirety of the house searched and no sign of Zara yet, which was a growing concern, he now only had the outside left to investigate. Ashton was hoping said investigation would reveal a way past the giant walls he'd glimpsed through several windows now at this point. Nudging the double doors open, he edged his way slowly through them, smelting hammer gripped tightly in one hand. No knife came flying at him, so he stepped out into the full sun, wincing at the harsh brightness. The garden was even bigger than it looked from inside, and the walls seemed even taller now. They were easily at least 20 feet, far taller than anything he could climb by hand. He didn't know any of the plants growing in the garden. Granted, he wasn't exactly well learned when it came to nature and plant life. Warfare tactics and politics had been his main focus of study. However, he'd learned to recognize the greenery that grew in Mordrin, a side effect of spending so much time training in the woods for close quarters fighting. That and Dryden had insisted on him knowing by sight which plants would kill him and which would help clean out a wound, even if he'd never remember the names of them. Nothing here was familiar, though. The trees were a riot of colors, some with leaves that appeared almost golden in color, others that he swore were the same shade of pink his sister favored. It took a second of staring to realize the pink was from the flowers rather than leaves. Gone were the trees covered in fine green needles, or the low, dense shrubbery he spent his childhood hiding in. Instead of the hardy, spiky flowers that covered the ground in bursts of blue, purple, and pink, there were flowering vines, clusters of tall blooms in brilliant yellows and oranges, and bushes covered in white flowers that smelled so strongly they almost burned his nose when he dared to sniff them. He suspected there wouldn't be any snow falling here anytime soon, and it was already feeling too hot for his comfort. The unfamiliar plants had him painfully aching for his northern homeland. None of the trees were close enough to the walls to use as a climbing source to reach the top. Ashton's instincts were screaming during his entire trip towards said walls, but no blades suddenly sank themselves in his back. Finally reaching the walls, he laid a hand against the stone, frustrated to find it all polished smooth, denying any way of grasping hold to climb. With a quick glance around the areas, he hefted the hammer he'd swiped and took a hard, sharp swing at the stone. His arm was immediately flung back from the wall as a powerful force flung the hammerhead back with the same strength he threw at it. Wincing as he rotated his arm a couple of times, he stepped back a few feet and threw the hammer at the wall, ducking with a yelp when the hammer bounced off and flew back at him with equal speed and strength. Glaring at the walls, sorry, I hit escape, which meant it closed the document.
In there.
Scrolling back down.
I might need a life vest and a little kayak here soon.
Uh-oh. No
It's
bueno.
Coming down. It's coming down.
Don't worry, I lived in Florida long enough to know how to build a rudder on the back of something and float your ass out.
Glaring at the walls, he spat out several curses as he snatched the hammer from the ground and stomped away. Okay, so creating handholds for climbing was likely impossible. Studying the building itself, he walked the perimeter until he found the front entrance, which boasted ornate molding and carving spiraling up a pair of pillars framing the door. It took little effort to climb them, and soon he was standing atop the entrance's roof, casting a slow scan around their full surroundings. The walls were a bit higher than the house itself, but he could see over them enough to discover that outside their warm, lush garden was a wasteland. Cracked, dry ground stretched clear to the horizon, broken up by an odd dead tree or small rock formation. There was nothing but rock, sand, and sky for fucking miles. At the very edge of the horizon lay one spot to the south he swore had the vaguest outline of something. Another building, or perhaps a small mountain or hill. Too far and too hazy to get a good look at it. It was the only thing that broke up the sun, and Ashton stared at it intently, desperate to work out even the slightest detail. Then burning pain erupted in the back of his thigh, and he screamed as his knees buckled. Dropping into a crouch on the roof, spinning around, his hand came up to grab Zara's wrist, stopping her swipe at his throat with her butcher knife as she pinned him to the tiling. Gritting his teeth, he ripped the knife out of his thigh, twisting to try and slam it into her ribs just under the arm that was still straining to push her knife into his neck. Rather than dodging the attack, she simply took it with a grunt and leaned her weight down onto him harder. The fact that she didn't attempt to dodge his attack had him suspecting she'd figured out the healing nature of this place. Then her other hand swung to punch him in the side, earning a wheezing yell and affording her a chance to drop her weight even harder onto him. The point of her knife jabbed into his throat as a result, and he gasped wetly as blood immediately bubbled up. She watched his throat with terrifying intensity, like a vampire eager for a taste. The second his throat healed and closed over, Zara let out a harsh sounding word in a language he didn't know and grabbed hold of his shirt collar. Throwing her body into a backwards roll, she braced her feet against his stomach and shoved him off the roof with a hard push of her feet. Only his decades of training saved him the fall to the ground. Managing to grab one of the carved gutter spouts and swing around, using the momentum to flip back up onto the roof. Landing in a crouch, he launched himself at her, catching her around the knees and sending them into a rapid roll that had both of them tumbling off the roof. Zara ended up breaking his fall, and he relished the multiple crunches of bones snapping under him. She coughed and groaned in pain, and he took advantage of her brief stunned state to grab the hammer tucked into his belt. Holding it with both hands and swinging down in a hard arch with the intent of burying it in her head. The hammer fell from his suddenly limp hands as a blade was jammed up through his chin, piercing the roof of his mouth and sinking deeper into his head. He couldn't hear anything over the pounding blood in his ears, pain screaming through his entire body as the blade was twisted. Zara stared in satisfaction as Ashton twitched, choked, and coughed blood as she kept the blade buried deep. Ma'am, do not get on that frickin' laptop. No. No. We do not do not. You're gonna ruin my voice for this. Anyway. Zara stared in satisfaction as Ashton twitched, choked, and coughed blood as she kept the blade buried deep, her hand pressed flush against his lower jaw as she twisted and pushed a bit harder at the knife. Her satisfaction turned to triumph when he finally went limp, his eyes glazing over and the sharp twitching finally stopping. She was already working out where in the garden she was going to plant the stick she planned on jamming his head into when the weight of his limp body over hers started to fade. Zara stared, frozen in growing fascination, as the body of Ashton crumbled rapidly into a fine, glittering powder. The items from the house he'd gathered clattered to the roof to either side of her, and she watched the golden dust that had once been her worst fucking enemy catch on the gentle breeze and drift away, leaving her alone on top of the roof. Fucking finally! Collapsing back onto the tiled roof, she let herself relax for the first time in what felt like nearly a decade. Her eyes staring up at the blue sky overhead. Soft, feathery clouds floated past, and she felt a smile creep across her face. A moment later, a soft, weak laugh broke from her, and within seconds, she was in hysterics, rolling onto her side and laughing so hard she couldn't breathe, tears forming in her eyes. She finally fucking got it. 30 years of training had led to this moment. From the moment she was handed a weapon at 7 years old, she'd been working, practicing, beating herself into the ground over and over, striving to make sure she was strong enough to help defeat Mordred. She may not have ended the war herself, but she'd killed one of the best warriors that fucking country had. Eventually, the laughter died, but the tears kept coming, and she found herself gasping as she tried to catch her breath, utterly overwhelmed with the relief and catharsis that came from accomplishing what she'd spent half her life working for. From the moment that bastard had ruined one of her solo missions, she'd made it her personal vendetta to take him out. She may be stuck here still, but she'd killed Ashton fucking Varen. Blinding pain erupted from her scalp, and Zara let out a startled scream as she found herself being suddenly dragged to the edge of the roof by her hair. Unable to catch any purchase on the tiles, she was hauled off and thrown to the ground, gasping harshly as her shoulder crunched painfully and pain exploded in her hip from how she landed. Even as the pain radiated, however, she could feel the bones shifting, already beginning to knit back together. Then there was a heavy weight on top of her, and pain burst in her head once more, this time from having a massive rock smashed into the side of it. Her hands clawed at the dirt, trying to push herself up out of it, but her face was buried further into the ground, with another hand hard smash of the stone, leaving her dazed and everything spinning. A third bash of the rock sent her plummeting into darkness. Ashton continued slamming the large garden stone down into Zara's head over and over, relishing the blood that splattered his hands with each blow. She'd gone still by the third blow, but he kept going, too lost in his euphoria over catching her off guard. No one had ever caught Zara Mistis off guard. The fifth blow of the rock hit torn up grass instead of the skull fragments that had started poking through her scalp, and he cursed viciously as he watched her body crumble into a fine, shimmering golden cloud. His chest heaved as he watched it float away, shoving himself to his feet. Ashton kept a tight grip on the rock as he charged into the house, retracing the path he'd taken to get outside, making a beeline for that strange, dark room of stone. He knew that's where she'd be, because that's where he'd woken up. After that knife of hers had gone through his head, everything had gone dark, and he jerked to consciousness exactly as he had when he'd first gotten here. There was no doubt in his mind that's where she was going to end up as well. The difference was she'd have no weapon on hand, and he was eager to see how many blows he could get in this time before she died. Ashton made it back to the room just in time to see Zara come stumbling out of it, clutching at the side of the stone archway and looking around in wild-eyed confusion. He knew the feeling well. There was a reason it'd taken him a few minutes to get back to the roof. The realization that you weren't allowed to die was a jarring feeling. "What is this fucking place?" she hissed as she spotted him. His jaw flexed and his fingers twitched around the rock in his hand, still smeared with her blood, as he debated just throwing it at her. "Considering I have the chance to kill you as many times as I fucking want, I'd say it's finally proof for me that a Marianne is real," he mused, flashing a vicious smile at her. Her eyes flicked to the rock in his hand, and to his aggravation, she had the nerve to snort at him. "Really? Eternal paradise for you has me as a focal point? That's truly pathetic," she sneered, creeping to the side, slowly with her hands to either side. Even with them empty, he still found the pose threatening and shifted his hold on the rock once more. "Pretty sad, too, that even here in the Afterrealm, I managed to kill you first. Again." That had Ashton bristling, his fingers digging into the rock hard enough to crack his fingernails as his temper flared. "I landed the first blow on that fucking field, and you know it," he seethed, every muscle in his jawline throbbing from how tight he grit his teeth as she laughed at him. Fuck the rock. He wanted his hands around her fucking throat. Dropping the large stone to the floor, he closed the distance between them in an instant. She made no move to dodge him, and he felt his fingertips brush oh so fucking temptingly close against her neck. An instant later, she was behind him. Then he choked when she all but climbed him, her thighs clamping around his neck and her fingers gouging at his eyes. Immediately, he spun on his heel, throwing himself backwards and bashing her into the stone doorway. Pain bloomed as he felt one of his eyes pop under her nails, and an inhuman sound of fury and agony broke from him when he felt it seal over and reinflate in his skull. Bless you!
Bless you.
No, I didn't turn away to gasp or gag or any of that. Just sneeze. Oh, goodness gracious. God, reinflating his skull. Really, Char? That's a visual. That's a visual. Ugh. Giving up on trying to pry her hands free, his arm shot up to grab at her throat with every intention of crushing it under her hands. Wait, that's when I decide to sneeze? That's when my body fucking decides to sneeze? When there's only a fucking sentence left?
You only have one line left.
Yeah, couldn't sneeze at the end. No, you got to sneeze like a sentence left.
Fuck my computers, fuck my bodies, fuck my life, whatever. Oh my God. I don't think I have ever in my life seen, like...
Which I think it's funny that particular scene had an eye pop, and who came home from work at a reasonable time tonight? Robbie, who happens to be one-eyed. And I thought it was funny, and he can't hear it. No, that's not how he lost his eye either. Please, before anybody asks me.
But yeah, this is the vibe that I've been writing for the past, what is today, the 19th? The past 18 days. Literally, the moment I finished Luck of the Mobster, I switched to this. This is all it's been. I'm up to chapter 7. They've died 19 times.
Each or between the two of them?
Between the two of them.
Okay. There's been 19 deaths.
They've gotten to the point where they're keeping score to see who gets more deaths. And now that they've realized they don't stick, they're getting more creative and more petty with it. Hence the broken stem glass into the brain.
Of course.
Gotcha.
Well, ain't that a horse?
That's not that. I don't know what y'all were drinking, smoking, enjoying this past week, but you all went a little dark and twisted.
Okay, but
you see that like it's a bad thing.
No, I find it absolutely fascinating. And if we think about it too, I mean, not all of them were, but there was almost always just something
that we get literally, we all end up, now you got to figure several different people, several different things, the whole 9 yards. But if you actually look at it, by the time we're done, we all have a common theme, and it's not just the prompt.
There was one night where every single submission was heartbreaking, and then there was one where every single submission was terrifying.
Yeah, like with only one off. It's like, I don't know what... seriously, I don't know what we were all doing that, like... we all feel the same vibe, even though it's different stories, even though it's different takes on it. We just all hit the same thing. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. I'm baffled by it. On the other hand, it might just mean that we're all hanging out too much together, but I could not imagine a better group of people to hang out with on my Saturday nights, even though today is a Sunday. But, that is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, so we are a full-on day short, or day late, but that is okay. Let's get some rolls in so we can get this prompt and Izzy can try to get some sleep. Although, with all the bloodshed, I don't know if I will be able to.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
They're gonna eventually... No, I'm not. They're gonna work through that aggression eventually. They're gonna burn out, and then they'll actually start talking to each other and actually start communicating, and eventually they'll kiss.
That's just usually the way that works out. Is a lot of people go, they're like, well, once enemies stays enemies. No, not necessarily. When you're the only two people in the freaking world, and especially in this world, that don't want to eat them,
I don't know. The audience, if you can hear this, and people can find it on playback later.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, we're all
I
vibing.
don't know.
Okay, but it's time for the roll.
What dialogue tag are we getting for next week?
I know, right?
76.
Oh, shitballs.
Starting strong.
Let's see the concept.
I was like, oh, I have to actually do some things. Sorry. I was not prepared. 76. Oh, shitballs. Balls. A character's wish comes true, but not in the way they expected. What do they do to try and fix it?
That could be interesting. $71.
Fuck me. A character finds a map leading to a treasure, but the map is incomplete. What challenges do they face in piecing it together?
Okay.
So help me, if you roll like 78, I swear to fuck.
Up next, starting first lines.
What did you
What?
get?
88. It's not me, it's the dice.
No. I'm going to call a reroll because 88 is you're good at English when you know the difference between a man-eating chicken and a man-eating chicken.
No, we've already.
It was not a chosen one.
But a lot of people have used it.
Yes.
That's a line in Crossroads. Like, no.
Mm-mm.
34.
In fact, actually, that one might have been in there twice on accident. Oh, dear golly. This one is not going to be selected. I am pretty freaking sure. On top of that, it's a long one. Arnold had been vaguely familiar with the phrase eat dust, but had always attributed such expression to the novels of Philip Pullman. That was before the new maid had lost her temper and jammed his head into the vacuum cleaner.
I kind of like it.
I do too.
Might shave the word count down a little bit, but I kind of like it.
Definitely will need to see that one written out so I can visualize what I'm going to do with that.
Absolutely. I think I think I might actually have a wait. Just put them in the side chat.
19.
Ooh, low one.
Starting first line. If only she hadn't bought the red one. All right. What's our first dialogue option that y'all are going to pick?
47.
Come on, go down to it. What'd you say it was? Sorry.
47.
47.
Red vacuum. Patrick. I'm sorry, that was Cash.
Isn't it a little late to be asking that question? He asked, turning away. We've already crossed the line.
We've already had that one.
I don't recall it.
I don't recall it either.
Although
it's
very
that we picked, but
no, it doesn't have an asterisk on it. And since January, I've been putting the asterisk on that they were choices.
Gotcha.
But you know what? A lot of these may sound familiar because that one time that you were stuck and having me roll off the list.
Right.
So your memory cannot be trusted.
Two.
Yours. Two? Okay, 102. Let me look at our lovely list here.
You said 102?
No, just 2.
Well, she says 2. Okay, so the first one that she rolls, we pick from the first 100 in the list. The second one she rolls is from the second 100 in the list. So that way we're just all kind of bouncing around.
That way we have a bigger selection.
Yeah.
Well, and also the 101 through 200 has a shot at being picked. You know, they're all sitting here in this document being little pick me girls going, please pick me, pick me, pick me.
Give me something good to work with and I will.
I know. Okay. Just do as I say and no one gets hurt. All right, folks. Here's your favorite time of the day.
I like the vacuum one the best.
Reached character limit of 500. Okay, well, of course, because, you know, number 3 was really freaking long. I may be a little fast. There we go. In the side chat. Voting. 1, concept. A character's wish comes true, but not in the way they expected. What do they do to try and fix it? Number 2, concept. A character finds a map leading to a treasure, but the map is incomplete. What challenges do they face in piecing it together? 3, Arnold had been vaguely familiar with the phrase eat dust, but had always attributed such expression to the novels of Philip Pullman. That was before the new maid had lost her temper and jammed his head into the vacuum cleaner. Number 4, if only she hadn't bought the red one. Number 5, isn't it a little late to be asking that question? He asked, turning away. We've already crossed the line. And last but not least, number 6, just do as I say and no one gets hurt.
We've got 4 votes
got
for 6 and 1 for 3.
6. I would love to use number 2, but I'm I'm apparently outvoted. And B, I don't want to deal with Ezio right now. I'm in the thick of Finn.
Okay, see, I'm leaning towards 3. And we now have 3 votes for 3 and 4 votes for 6. So it's actually close.
Kiss.
Thank you for voting. Anybody that's in here, regardless if you're going to write for the week or not, please vote.
You don't have to write. You can just vote.
You can We are equal opportunity. You can hear and listen. It's kind of like reading, but Shar and I are your neighborhood narrators for the evening. And, or you can write. Or you can vote what kind of shenanigans we're going to do the next week.
I know Patrick already voted. Did either of you vote yet?
I usually don't. I don't know why. I feel like I'm skewing the results because I'm not going with a gut instinct and putting it. Yep. If you like reading, feel free to stay. And thank you, Babakis, for coming back. That awesome sauce. Well, what do you think, Jules? It's still your birthday month. We got number 3 and number 6. Plus, you've got your monthly challenge of using a concept.
Yeah, the monthly challenge this month for my birthday month is whatever we pick plus any of the concepts for the last month. Doesn't have to be this week's concept, but it does have to be a concept for the last month.
Yeah, within the last four weeks, which are all in our side. You can find our channel information that has quick links to the various different threads and whatnot. And there is one marked 2025, has all the listed prompts going back. So what do you think? Use either or and try to use a concept from the last 4 weeks?
We're going to go with that because I honestly can't pick.
I know.
So yeah, either or. We're going to bounce between either 6 or 3 with a concept, and I look forward to seeing what everybody puts out this week.
Yeah.
Also, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
And bearing with us through all the stuff and all the technical issues and everything like that. I cannot say enough about our prompters, and I cannot say enough about our peeps. You guys make this the best part of our weekend. And when I started this, it was literally, hey, let's do this. And everybody thought I was crazy. And there
Not
were
everyone.
I was the only one on here. But it's grown, and I absolutely adore it. And we are combining the 2 prompts into one. No, you can either combine them, you can use one or the other, but you've got to use at least a concept from the last 4 weeks. So if you're a part of our server now, if you go into writing prompts, it'll show you all the writing prompts for 2025, and all you gotta do is pick one. You don't have to even pick one from this week. It's like just pick a concept. And
to be clear, we pick an official one, right? And that's what people try to gear their prompt submission around or to, right? And it doesn't have to be word for word. The spirit of the law as opposed to the letter of the law. And Julie, last month was Patrick's birthday, so he put in an extra special challenge, try to do this. And mine was in March, so we did try to do this. Thought of the idea way too late to catch Char's birthday in January. Very, very sorry. So we will be doing that next January. But yeah, try to fit in one of those comments or concepts because it just challenges you to go that much further with your writing. Technically, the rules are 1 to 1 million word count. Please don't make me read 1 million words. Do not make Char read 1 million words. We would be here for days on end, and we don't got that kind of time. Go ahead.
I actually quoted the message you posted that has the link, and then tagged him in it, so he'll be able to find where it is.
Fantastic. Thank you very, very, very much. So, yeah, we put it all out there. This is just for fun to challenge yourself and to break people's writer's block because, and Julie will tell you, that's how this all started. I had really bad writers, really bad writer's block. And another friend of ours said, well, here, mind if I give you a writer's prompt? And that ended up being what I affectionately refer to as the pig leg story. And eventually she'll go back and work some more on that. I'm looking forward to see what she goes with that, which is completely outside of her normal genre. So
yeah, that is very much a dystopian.
Yeah. And as a result, you know, like, hey, this helped me, right? That was Julie's thought process. This helped me. Maybe it'll help other people. So now we've got people who are writing outside of their comfort zone, people who are actually fucking writing a novel when they should have been doing that 30 years ago. You know, there we go. Just get you published, get outside your comfort zone, get things
rolling.
Yeah.
Just get writing. Just do the thing.
Do the damn thing. Right?
So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that there's no wrong answer. The only thing that you can do that would hinder yourself is just not do it. This has definitely been a passion project for me and is now a year and a half in its production.
Yep.
And I could not be more proud of the group that we've assembled and continue to assemble. You know, everybody here is welcome. Whether you want to just sit here and listen to our banter all night while while Izzy and them are reading. As everybody says, what they're looking for is my facial reactions because, quite literally, I have a very expressive face. I do not. My face has subtitles.
Yes, they do.
So it's one of those things. I'm very happy with what we've created, and we continue to create every week. But as of right now, we got to end out. Izzy's got work in the morning. A lot of us have things to start the week off with. But also remember, anybody who happens to be in the Green Bay area between June 13th and June 15th, please check into Pack in the Readers because not only will I be there, Patrick will be there, Izzy will be there, and Kesh will be there. The only one that will not be there is because we can't transport her across the border right now.
I would love to. I would. I'm also not willing to go to the States right now, though. So, yeah.
Yeah, but for one weekend, it wouldn't be that bad. But you know, this is what we've got, and we might not be blood, but we're chosen. This is the epitome of chosen family. This is the epitome of found family, and we've been through some shit together on this show and off the show and everything in between, and this is our thing. So thank you very much for being here. We'll see you again next week, but always remember, be brave, be bold, but always stay humble. And again, we will catch you guys next week.
Crap, everybody left too quick. That's okay.
I'm holding until you tell me we're off.
No, it wasn't that. I was pulling the settings. Okay,